Previously on LordBento.
Well, amigo, do I have something for you?
The PS Classic.
Just turn it on.
Oh my.
So until next time, boys and girls, peace.
And now here's that video.
Fighting games can come in all shapes and sizes. Whether it be about various fighters from all over the world coming together to battle in a big tournament, warriors on a journey to find a mythical sword that grants the user ultimate power, or about literal animorphs. There's a little something for everybody.
Yeah, that's cool or whatever, but you know what it's missing? Anime!
I'm not necessarily talking about those anime arena fighters you see everywhere today, like your One's Justices or your Ninja Storms. No, I'm talking about the ones that are more relatively subdued on that front, and a little bit closer to traditional fighting games that are merely imbued with the anime flair. While these were kinda few and far between in the States way back in the day, there was pretty much a smorgasbord of shonen protags and joshi koseis doing the big smackdowns on each other back in Japan, even more so with the latter of the two in particular. Some of these were okay, while others were, well, Enter Seifuku Densetsu Pretty Fighter, or Pretty Fighter for short. Released exclusively in Japan on December 2nd, 1994, Pretty Fighter is a 2D fighting game developed by Genki and published by Imagineer for the Super Famicom. Imagineer is responsible for publishing a big chunk of those Metabots games in Japan, and recently helped Nintendo out with Fitness Boxing on the Switch. And while Genki seems to have been inactive for a good while now, you may have known them for those guys who worked on the Dreamcast port of Virtua Fighter 3 TB, the Kengo games, and the video game adaptation of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Oh yeah, and they also made Pretty Fighter, and its updated version Pretty Fighter X on the Sega Saturn features an anime art style, and is apparently one of the earliest fighting games to have an all-female cast of characters, with each of the girls' costumes color being associated with their names. Now I can't really confirm that last bit because I can't read that, but it seems to be true, what with this girl's name supposedly being Minami Midori Kawa, wearing a green school uniform, and this one named Juri Akasaka being in a red, stripper outfit, I think? I haven't personally played this game, but from what I can tell, it doesn't look like much to write home about. You know, except for the fact that it's 12 kinds of awful. Everything you can do does piss poor damage. Special moves look like they should knock down, do not. Characters' limbs will shrink and grow at will. And throws do not work on block. But let's not get into that, because that's not what this video is about. Oh no. No, it is not. Actually, the subject of today's video is a spin-off and or sequel that was also developed and published by Genki and Imagineer respectively in 1996, titled Fist. But Bento, I hear you ask, if Pretty Fighter was such booty cheeks, why would they make another one? I wonder why. Golly gee. That sure is a real head-scratcher, that one is. I've seen a fair bit of videos on Pretty Fighter in the YouTube space, but not so much on Fist. So that's what I aim to do today. Bring this game to light, and show it to more people. And honestly, I'd like to know how much better or worse can Fist possibly be. Well, for starters, it features 3D polygonal graphics and happens to be multi-platform, with 2 SKUs on the PlayStation 1 and Saturn, so one can only hope for the best. Much like Pretty Fighter before, Fist never saw a release outside of Japan, so as much as I would like to import a copy of this game and a Japanese console to play it on, yeah, nah, I'm good.
Instead, I'm going to be using the PlayStation Classic to play the PS1 version of this game through some shenanigans, to say the least. Hey everyone, I'm Lord Bento, and this is Fist for the PlayStation 1.
The game opens with a 90s anime intro. No, I'm serious. You even have your characters fly in one by one with the game's super 90s J-pop rock main theme playing in the background. The animated profile shots that accompany each character look alright for the most part, and the theme song is pretty okay. It even has the credits for some of the staff who worked on the game sprinkled throughout the sequence, and subtitles for the theme's lyrics at the bottom. However, much of the sequence just consists of animated background loops featuring sparkles and stars that can hurt your eyes, lots of static images of the characters that just fly in and out, and transitions that come straight out of something like Windows Movie Maker.
So yeah, it's your typical anime opening from the 90s.
The character art themselves don't look half bad. The animated portions are actually kind of well done, though you can tell every character here is trying to fill up that quota for anime tropes and stereotypes. You got your schoolgirl, sporty girl, bunny girl, nun girl, ninja girl, quirky girl, studly boy, and, humongo guy? Huh. So yeah, in breaking Pretty Fighter tradition, not only have they gone from 2D to 3D, but it also seems that they have introduced male characters to the previously all-female roster. All 2 of them.
Dicks! What an innovation.
Is it me, or is how this character is depicted kind of racist? He's got that feeling that Officer Black from the OG Dragon Ball gives me. I don't know. Also, the game's logo is just a giant fist with the word fist overlaid on it. I don't know how else they would have done it. I mean, yeah, it kind of fits, but... Anyways, the game offers 2 modes of play, both of which are your standard for fighting games. Scenario mode is just arcade, and versus is... versus. Duh. There's an options mode where you can change the game settings like the AI difficulty and handicap, as well as the sound tests for the music and sound effects. Ranking is also there to check your personal rankings for the game, mainly the time it took for you to complete the scenario mode, and then card is where you can load or save your game. You want to make sure you actually remember to go here every time you play this, because there ain't no auto-save or auto-loading feature in this game, unfortunately. Okay, that's enough beating around the bush. Let's get into scenario mode and jump right into it. The character select is pretty standard. You got your character portraits with their names at the bottom of the panel art as you hover over them, your roster organized in a row right below, and to top it off, a scrolling background with sparkles. You have 8 characters to choose from, with Marin, Ai, and Maria making a return from the previous games. Doitsuki, Mei, Tokikaze, Art, and Andy are the new kids on the block. And I'm pretty sure I've said this before during the intro sequence, but I'll say it again. Although the art for the characters here is quite alright, everyone is kinda generic looking, such as girl in sailor uniform, lady in bunny outfit, and big burly boyo. Alright, let's go with Ai. If there was anything I retained while looking up Pretty Fighter, it's that you always eat the banana on knockdown. Alright, first match, here we go. So once you actually get into the game, you'll start to notice some things right off the bat. First off, the banana tech does not work in this game. It seems they have removed the move. Bummer. Secondly, there are alternate outfits for each character. Gym Shorts has a school swimsuit, Sailor Scout's got a fit from the England catalog, and Sister Nun is not Android 18. That's pretty alright. Also, what? Okay, so where do I begin? Let's start with the presentation. You got a pretty basic UI with the life bar, rounds to win symbolized as hearts, and the timer for the round at the top. And then your fighters duking it out right below. It's pretty bare bones, to say the least. Nothing really interesting besides the meter slowly morphing into different shades and colors after every hit. The timer being just a teensy bit off center from its frame just irks me a little bit though. It's a tad too close to the left side, like, guys, come on, just move it 2 nanometers to the right, come on. The stages featured in this game are infinite with no ends on either side and are unique to a specific character, each one having their own. Art's got a cityscape, Marin is in a mall, and Mei has the Illuminati, I think. They are kind of interesting in a way in that they're all different from one another, but they're just kind of bland. Like, I's stage and Andy's stage are the same damn thing, except the ground is a different color. And while the background image for the stages does pan up and down with the camera, it does not scroll left or right as the characters move about, nor actually also just pictures of real places. Like, I'm pretty sure that this is a real picture of an actual auditorium that exists, but with like a light smear filter over it. Maybe they were on a budget, and making art assets for stages is just too much work or something. Because while it's not necessarily bad per se, it just doesn't look too hot, kind of. You know what else is kinda not hot? The characters themselves. I don't know what the fuck happened during the translation from the hand-drawn art to their actual 3D models, but it was not a kind one. Some look passable, like Marin and Arts, but most of the others just look, Doitsuki looks like a crappy version of Mokujin that works part-time at Disneyland. Ai's got that Street Fighter V Ken thing going on with the 2 bananas stapled to the back of her head. And Mei is not even Mei. She doesn't even look like her character art. Sometimes the models don't even animate all too good neither, with everyone sharing the same animations and some not even animating at all on some occasions. But hey, this was during the PS1 times, so it shouldn't be judged too harshly, all things considered, right? Well, that's something I'd like to say if this didn't come out the same year as Tobal No. 1, Tekken 2, and Virtua Fighter 2. Hell, even the first Battle Arena Toshinden game looks better than this, and that came out 2 whole years before this game. And accompanying these characters are the aforementioned stages and their own theme song, which, I must say, are actually not awful. In fact, I find most of them perfectly fine. I really dig Marin's theme as well as Ai's theme. And Doitsuki's theme is just a fucking bop with the guitar riff going like However, my issue with the music is that, well, most of it is not fighting game music. The more I listen, the more I notice that they just kinda put random pieces of background music from an obscure 90s anime or whatever to whatever character with no rhyme or reason. And some of the tracks bleed over, and one character's song begins to sound like another character's. Like, Toikaze's theme does not make me think of a Hidden Valley or ninjas. Nor can I tell the difference between Arts and Marin's theme if you didn't start the songs at the beginning. And for the love of God, who the hell said, yes, this soft piano ballad is definitely a good fit for the Buffmeister Andy? As for the gameplay, Fist closely resembles Virtua Fighter. Or at least, it attempts to, but I'll get into that a bit later. You can move your character with the directional pad, double tapping either left or right to do a dash in that direction, and if you are at a far enough distance, you can run by holding down the direction after the dash. You got your 3 buttons for blocking, punching, and kicking, and you can do a throw by pressing both the block and punch buttons at the same time. Everyone has access to a universal uppercut with forward punch, which you can cancel into from a normal, as well as a Virtua Fighter-esque downed attack with up and punch. Of course, each character has their own unique specials too, using a combination of different motions and attacks, such as Shoryuken Z motion forward for Ai's Wind God Fist, and back forward for Marin's Ass Attack. So yeah, it's extremely similar to Virtua Fighter, if anything. Well, on paper at least, because in practice, this game is the definition of clunk. These controls are atrocious, as everything from the movement to the attacking has a delay. Inputting special moves is finicky as hell, as they are only read if you do the motion very rigidly. What I'm saying is, if the motion is down, then forward, then punch, you can't just do a quarter circle forward punch like you would normally do in any other game that has a similar motion. Instead, you input down first, then you must let go of the button and then press forward and punch. And sometimes inputs eat into each other and moves don't even come out in the way that you wanted them to, or not come out at all. You want to do down forward kick for a mid attack? Nah. Here, have 200 squats and have your character do absolutely nothing. Lovely. On top of that, the universal uppercut you can cancel into isn't an actual true combo. If it is, very rarely does it actually combo. To be honest, you can't even really combo outside of natural strings, which mainly consist of a mix and match of a punch and a kick, as juggles don't exist in this game. Which is some horseshit because the computer can seem to cancel into anything from everything, creating their own bootleg combos. Like low kick into uppercut. Granted, that specific string is actually given for some characters, but I'm pretty sure that you can't do another uppercut from an uppercut on a whiff, let alone a block. Like, how do you even do that? I've pressed everything I can think of to cancel into multiple uppercuts. Pressed guard after an attack to cancel my attack animation to go into uppercut. Pressed punch and kick at the same time like a Street Fighter 4 focus attack. But nothing worked! There's only 3 buttons to work with, so I don't get it. But the computer apparently gets it. So while you're throwing out single strikes and just trying to move, they get free reign just to style on you. Nice. Additionally, collision detection is borked beyond belief. Hit detection is very random. You can get hit by things that normally wouldn't hit you, and vice versa. The VF dive attacks sometimes do fuck all because of that. Trading is a bit indecisive on when it wants to work or not. Sometimes you both whiff, other times you both get hit. It's a 50-50, especially when it comes to special attacks. But the weirdest one is with throwing and attacking at the same time. When one person throws out a punch or a kick and the other begins to throw simultaneously, most of the time neither of them will connect, and you both will be pushed away from each other. And throwing already has such a short range, you basically have to be at point blank range for it to work. You can't even properly whiff punish with it because all the characters suddenly have T-Rex arms every time you even think about throwing. But I'll just barely let that point slide because while they only work on standing opponents, throws do a shit ton of damage regardless. In fact, there are actually 2 throws, a neutral throw and a back throw that you can do by holding back when you grab. Your normal neutral throw takes out about 1/3 of a life bar, while the back throw does so much more, with some characters being able to do a kabillion percentage. You can practically kill someone with 2 back throws, and maybe 3 forward throws. So you can basically destroy the AI by just immediately doing a throw at round start, walk backwards so that when they get up you can run over to them and do another throw, and rinse and repeat until they're just dead. For some reason, despite being, the computer, they're like deer in the headlights once they see you start hoofing over toward them, and they kinda just stare at you until your running animation stops, which is usually when you're in throwing distance. So if you throw them as soon as you're right in front of their face, you'll be able to get them 99.99% of the time. Well, you can do that or just mash your way to victory. Yeah, you don't even have to play the game to beat the game. Just do punch over and over again, and you should be fine for the most part. I even found a thing with I where you do full crouch down kicks, which is just king stagger kicks from Tekken, on a loop. The computer doesn't know how to deal with them. They tried to block and outmash me and even jump over it, but because the attacks are so slow and the jump arc is a complete joke, they had no chance. So I was able to pretty much steamroll through the scenario mode using this newfound cheese along with the throwing tech I previously mentioned. Except not really, when I actually tried to play the game. In any case, as you progress through Fist's version of arcade mode, you fight the whole roster, including yourself, in a seemingly random order, changing every time you go in for another run. There are no sub-bosses or even a final boss, so there is no real incentive to play the game with every character to unlock new ones.
Oh, hold the phone. How silly of me. How could I forget the main appeal? The anime shit.
Ah, yes. This may as well be the very reason why you would want to play through the whole game as everybody. After every couple of matches or so, you get an eye catch of your character doing a thing, like it was a Saturday morning cartoon. Or Saturday morning anime, if you will. You have 3 of them sprinkled throughout, and they're all your usual suspects for anime. You got your beach episode first, where it's as good as any excuse to get your waifus and husbandos almost in their skivvies. Well, except for Doitsuki. I don't know what the heck she's doing, but she seems like she's having a good time. The next one is dedicated to the sports festival bit. Good chance to show how big and strong everyone is. And to cap it all off, the last one ends the whole run with the characters singing their hearts out in a fully packed concert. Huh?
Now you may be thinking to yourself, well goodness, with all that's going on, is there even a story to make any sense of it all?
Listen, I don't speak Japanese, so even if I did have the manual with me here to tell me what the heck is going on, it probably wouldn't help me understand anything anyways. But thanks to the constant usage of stars embedded in every nook and cranny within the game, like the backgrounds and ending illustrations, the power of the internet, and Google Translate, I think I have managed to piece together what exactly this game is about. To keep it short, the story of this game revolves around an idol competition, and the winner gets to become a world-famous pop star. And to find out who will be the best fit to become that idol, contestants just gotta beat the shit out of each other to see who's the biggest and strongest of them until only one remains. I think. Which means, yes, Andy and Arts are in this game because they want to become idols.
What a bunch of heroes. Truly an inspiration to us all.
As for the lore of the beach and school festival illustrations, beats me. If I have to guess, because there are camera shutter sounds that play when they do appear, I guess they are photo ops that the characters did on their way to become Japan's next top idol, or something like that. Anyways, after beating scenario mode with your character, you unlock a mini featurette for them in the character's bio section, which shows concept art during the development of the game and their voice actor. Well, at least the voice actors for the girls. The VAs for the two guys aren't credited, unfortunately. If I was a betting man, I bet that the team was probably on a budget and they got some poor schmuck in the office to do the voice lines for them, because they probably spent it all on some of the names they got to do voices for the ladies. I mean, you got Wedding Peach voicing the MC, Motoko Kusanagi being the ninja girl, and goddamn Pikachu as the Chiquita chick. Actually, while we're still here, let's take a little closer look at those bios though. Here you can see your character's age, height, measurements, because of course, and their astrological signs. So if you ever want to know that Maria is a Virgo and Andy's an Aries, well, now you can. Oh, it also looks like Andy is apparently the oldest character in the game, at 25. Huh. If that's the oldest, then what is the youngest?
What? What the fuck?
And that was Fist. A fighting game that would have been probably halfway decent if it stayed 2D.
This game is just a poor man's version of Virtua Fighter. A clunky, uglier version of Virtua Fighter with its delayed controls, combos that don't combo, and not so great visuals on the 3D character models. But the things outside of the gameplay, like the illustrations and 2D art of the characters and the unfitting music, are pretty okay when you isolate them from this terabad game. If the developers had decided to stick with a 2D sprite-based game but kept the music and art, it may have been a little more decent. After all, this is a pretty fighter game, which was a series never that great to begin with. Oh, and you remember how I mentioned that there was a Sega Saturn version of this game? Yeah, it supposedly plays significantly better, where it feels even more like Virtua Fighter with actual juggle combos. But it has the trade-off of being even more butt ugly in the visuals department. But I haven't played this version, so who am I to judge?
I am me to judge. And I judge that Fist on the PlayStation 1 it's not good. It's not good. Dare I say, it may be one of the worst PlayStation 1 fighting games I have ever played. Probably. You can have okay art, alright music, but if the fighting in your fighting game is ass, then the whole thing is ass. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I've always wanted to talk about this game ever since I saw the weirdness that is Pretty Fighter on the Super Best Friends Let's Play YouTube channel, and then finding out that there was a 3D sequel that no one really knows about. But I was holding off on it because I had other stuff to talk about. And now, since that and this is out of the way, expect more coming soon. It may not be a short gap like the one from the Dynasty Wars video to this video, but hopefully won't be as long as the long-ass one from the Higurashi Daybreak video to the Dynasty Wars video. So, until next time, peace.